Hi, gang, it's Adam.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we set sail with Disney Cruise Line performer and host of the Jon Wailin podcast, Jon Wailin. As always, we cover the latest Disney news and close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick Marsha Kazuki.
Adam Dream Hummel.
I love that dream. So ethereal.
Such a dream. Your new Zoom background makes you look like you're in a marshmallow dream right now.
I am always in a marshmallow dream.
For those who can't see it, which is everybody except for me, it's a very pink and mauve and purple, just like tie-dye mix. I'm into it.
It's like I'm in a beautiful phantom zone.
I understand the feeling.
Purgatory, but make it fabulous.
I like it. More Phantom of the Opera, then.
I don't get it.
Okay. What?
More Phantom of the Opera?
Because it's more fabulous.
Oh.
You said Phantom Zone. This is maybe a terrible segment
Oh.
right now.
I was thinking like Phantom Zone, like the comic books Phantom Zone, but you were thinking the musical theater Phantom Zone.
Yes, because you mentioned fabulous, and so what's more fabulous than Phantom of the Opera?
It's all coming together now. It's so obvious.
Wow, this is a real great way to start the episode. We've lost all of our listeners.
Oh, how are you doing, Patrick?
You know what, Adam? I'm okay. How are you?
Just okay is just okay. We are living in very bizarre times.
We sure are. Adam.
And they got more bizarrer this week for us.
Yeah, well, kind of across the country right now. We live in Minneapolis, and I'm sure, as all of you know, there is a lot happening here in Minneapolis. It's scary times right now, but here we are.
Here we are. Patrick, you packed a go bag?
We are. We're packing go bags. We are in Minneapolis, as you are as well, kind of in the heart of things. There hasn't been much activity around our house yet, but as the week progresses, we don't know what it might look like, so we just want to be prepared to evacuate if we need to.
So far downtown, it's just been very large, relatively peaceful protests, which I'm grateful for.
That's awesome.
But it's very strange to see a lot of the downtown businesses with their storefront windows boarded up.
Yeah, for sure. I've only seen it through photographs. I haven't taken a drive out there. I just feel like maybe now is not the time to be a spectator, I guess. I don't know how best to say that. But it's sad to see the city you grew up in sort of literally on fire right now. That being said, I understand. I understand where everyone's coming from. We as a gay community know just as well as anybody what it feels like to not be heard and to be in pain and to be pushed to your limits. Let's not forget that the Stonewall riots were very violent and necessary, and we celebrate them today. So I just wish everybody safety, and I wish that everyone's pain could go away. I know that's not going to happen overnight, but I think we here at Gays Do the D are here for you. This is a space for everybody. We're running into Pride Month, so I think it's an important topic to talk about now that we are here for you. This is a safe community and space for you, and we wish nothing but the best for you all.
Very well said, Patrick, and very true. And as you mentioned, it is the start of Pride Month. We welcome June. And Patrick, it's time to be proud.
Sure. Let's be proud, Adam.
Let's give it a shot this year.
Let's give it a shot. It's a weird year to be proud, but maybe now more than ever, we need to feel that sense of pride, right?
I think so. I think even though, events across the country, around the world have been canceled due to the pandemic, now more than ever, we should truly embrace our community, embrace who we are, celebrate who we are, and be proud.
Absolutely. Well said, Adam. Well said.
And now we'll just hop off our soapboxes and get to the rest of the episode.
Yeah, sorry about that. I know we're not a political podcast, obviously, but I think it would be tone deaf if we didn't mention it in one way or another.
No, absolutely, Patrick. It's ridiculous not to talk about it. It's what's going on right now. And to everyone out there who is struggling right now, not only with the pandemic, but also with the events we discussed going on in the United States, we just want to reiterate that we are here for you.
Amen, Adam. Amen. Well, speaking of the pandemic, Adam, we should mention once again that we are still recording remotely. We are at a safe distance from each other of about 3 or 4 miles. So I think that should cover us, right?
I still don't feel safe enough.
We are using Zencastr to do all of our remote recordings during the pandemic. So if you hear any weird glitches or dogs clicking and clacking or people Zoom bombing us, you know why. You know why.
Everyone wants in on my Phantom Zone background.
I kind of wish someone would Zoom bomb us once. Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be delightful. We would be somebody then.
Finally, someone is interested in finding us.
Well, moving on, Patrick, we have a listener shout out. We need to recognize Luke, who you can find on Instagram at Luke's Life. That's life with 2 eyes.
Ooh.
And Luke responded to our take 2 of Return to Oz and said he absolutely loved it. So, Luke, we absolutely love you.
Thank you, Luke. That's really kind of you. Speaking of Luke, Adam, we had some listener feedback from our last week's Star Wars episode.
That was a hell of a segue, Patrick.
Thank you so much.
That's right, Patrick. We asked that our Tweedledees reach out to us with their Fab Five Star Wars characters lists. And here's what we heard, or read, rather. First up, we have Jess, who you can find on Instagram at adventures_by_Jess. Jess said, Ahsoka and Darth Maul, Leia, Anakin, and Babu Freak, my boy. Patrick, how you feeling about that Babu Freak mention?
I like that whole list except for Babu Frick. Moving on, Ryan responded on Instagram, RyanGold85, saying, honestly, the reason I like episodes 1 through 3 is because of the Palpatine story and his rise to power. And that's the fight between him and gods, although nothing but CGI was still cool. But my Fab Five, Chewie, Rey, Yoda, Palpatine, Leia. Honorable mentions, Darth Vader.
Yeah, neither one of us mentioned Vader in our lists.
We didn't. We got some feedback that we didn't mention Darth Vader. I think Hayden Christensen maybe ruined Darth Vader for me.
Same, Patrick. We also heard from Mario, who you can find on Instagram at Diamond in the Rough Clothing Co. Mario said, I like Ezra, General Organa, Rey, and Unnamed Lesbian 1 and Unnamed Lesbian 2 from The Rise of Skywalker.
Happy Pride indeed.
They lesbian bombed that movie.
Okay, fair. Is that a term? Are we going to make that a term now?
It's a term now.
I like it. I'm into it. I'm here for it. Next up, we have Kevin on Instagram at Mr. Kevy Kevs. Kevin says, my favorite Star Wars character of all is Princess Leia. From the beginning, she was always a woman of plan and purpose. She never relied on beauty and managed to navigate every situation with strength and dignity. I don't think we ever got to see her full potential on screen, but her legacy is inspiring generations of girls and twirling young boys what fabulous leadership looks like. The runners-up would be C-3PO, Rey, Yoda, and, oh dear, Babu Freak, of course.
Yes, Babu Freak. And yes, Kevin, that was so well said. Princess Leia is a role model for all.
I was with you 99% of the way, Kevin. 99% of the way.
Rodri wrote in. You can find Rodri on Instagram at RodMeetsWorld. Rodri said, my Fab Five are Leia, Palpatine, Yoda, Padme, and Anakin.
Ooh, interesting list.
We got a Hayden Christensen fan there.
We've at least got an episodes 1, 2, and 3 fan there. I guess save for Leia.
I mean, Patrick, we're rough on episodes 1 through 3. We're not fans, and we make it known, but there are mega fans out there, and we appreciate your viewpoints.
All opinions are welcome here, but they may not stay for long.
They may not be right, but they're welcome.
Exactly. Next up, we have Derek on Instagram at Boy Who Has Everything. Derek says, as a fellow quarantine hog, casual Star Wars fan, Rogue One lover, and Ewok-sized person, I felt both seen and delighted by this episode. My Fab Five would have to include Leia, R2-D2, Din Djarin, Mando, IG-11, also from The Mandalorian, and Ben Solo/Kylo Ren.
Another big villain we didn't mention, Kylo.
It's true. I actually didn't mention any villains in my list, did I?
You're such a goody two-shoes.
That's what people say about me all the time.
It's very telling, Patrick. You have listed nothing but heroes, and my number one was like the mega villain.
I think it's just indicative of where I am right now. Like, I need a hero. I need a leader to look up to. And if it has to be a fictitious one, so be it.
I could be your hero.
You're always my hero, Adam, for just waking up every day.
That's exactly what I wanted you to say. Thank you so much. We also heard from Cesar. You can find Cesar on Instagram at Prism Viper. I love that handle, Cesar. Mm-hmm. Cesar says, Rogue One is awesome and so very good. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Favorite characters for me. Oh gosh, I don't even know how to pronounce this. It's a character I do not recognize. I'm going to say Asajj Ventress. That's what we're going with. Asajj Ventress, Ahsoka Tano, Darth Vader, Hondo Anaka, and AP5. If you think K2SO is hilarious, you gotta check out AP5.
Interesting.
All I can think about is AP Math, and now my anxiety's at a 10.
Now, is AP5 from the Clone Wars?
I could not tell you, honestly.
I need to dig into the Clone Wars. Everybody's saying this is for you, Patrick. You need to watch these, and I have not listened yet, but it is on my list for sure.
My brother absolutely loves them.
Well, and he's a huge Star Wars fan, so I do trust his opinion.
He's a big old Star Wars nerd, Patrick.
Next up, we have Noah on Instagram, Noah Lee Jordan, saying, for shame, how could you not pick Precious Babu Freak or C-3PO or sexy-ass Kylo Ren?
Sexy-ass Kylo Ren.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah, but I found Adam Driver sexier on girls than I ever found him on Star Wars.
Yeah, he knew how to be in an emotionally abusive relationship that just turned me on, Adam.
They're not for everyone, Patrick.
They're not for anyone. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear. It's not okay.
And last but not least, we heard from Toby, who you can find on Instagram at TTG. He also reached out to us on Twitter. Get a life, Toby. You can find him on Twitter at TG Tobias. I can say get a life because Patrick and I both know him personally. Toby says, how? Neither of you chose Darth Vader. He's the most iconic villain ever. Yes, Hayden Christensen ruined Anakin, but come on. I still love you both. So here's my list. Vader, Anakin, Rey, R2-D2, Han, Yoda. Also, can I add more to my list? So much to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about. There is a lot to talk about. I like that you said we know him personally, not that we're friends.
Listen, if you bash us on both Instagram and Twitter, we are no longer friends.
Yeah, it's a very clear distinction. We know you. We just don't like you, Toby. We just aren't friends with you.
But I would like to thank him because we've been looking for an enemy for this podcast for a long time, and now we finally have one. It's Toby.
I'm into that.
We have our GDTD villain, our GDTD nemesis, and it's Toby.
Finally. We needed a little yin to our yang.
Well, thank you to all of our Tweedles who wrote in with their Fab Five lists. That's Jess, Ryan, Mario, Kevin, Rodri, Derek, Cesar, Noah, and Toby. I guess we'll thank Toby, too.
I suppose. Thanks, everybody.
Well, Patrick, before we move on to our giveaway...
Ooh...
We want to remind all of our Tweedles out there that Crooked Media has established the Coronavirus Relief Fund, where your donation will be distributed equally to help groups providing critical support to those who need it most. To make a donation, visit gaysdothed.com and click on the Coronavirus Relief tab at the top of the screen. More money means more help, Patrick, and a lot of people still need a lot of help right now, so please donate whatever you can.
Absolutely. Tons of help is needed, and hopefully tons of help is on the way. I will be so glad when we don't have to make that announcement anymore, Adam.
And if anyone out there happens to have a COVID vaccine, let's see it.
Do you think someone just has it at home and they're just like, you know what? I think I'll wait a little bit longer.
After this past week, Patrick, yes, I do think that.
Anything is possible, to quote Mickey Mouse at the Fantasy Fair Parade.
I like that you brought it back to Disney. I like that you brought my complete disillusionment of the human race back to Disney. Thank you, Patrick.
We are a Disney podcast, Adam. That's what we're here for.
That's right. We're Disney, and we're also gay, and it's Pride Month. So, Patrick, let's have a giveaway.
Let's have multiple giveaways, Adam.
Multiple, you say?
Multiple, I do say.
How about 4 weeks of giveaways?
I'm into it. I'm into 4 weeks of giveaways. I'm into 4 ways. You know that.
You heard us right, folks. We are having 4 weeks of Pride Month giveaways. It's week 1. And Patrick, what are we giving away this week?
Well, Adam, thank you so much for asking. We have a newly designed and newly released t-shirt on our Gays Do the D shop. It is a Pride-specific shirt with a rainbow going over the Tree of Life with the simple words, Pride Lands, underneath it.
I get it.
Uh-oh, it's a Pride pun.
Not on this podcast.
Never.
That's right, Patrick. It's an homage to Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's an homage to The Lion King. And it's in celebration of the LGBTQ plus IA community.
That's right. It's Lion King for all of you Lion Queens out there.
Ooh, Patrick.
Thank you so much.
So you may be wondering, how do I win this fabulous t-shirt?
Hey, Adam, how do I win this fabulous t-shirt?
Thank you so much for asking. You can enter to win the fabulous t-shirt by heading on over to our Instagram at GDTD Podcast, following us, liking the post featuring the image of the t-shirt, and commenting by tagging 3 of your Disney-loving friends. And by doing those simple steps, you're entered to win.
So simple.
To obtain a second entry, repost our post and tag us at GDTD Podcast, or add it to your stories and tag us. Entries will be accepted up until 6 o'clock p.m. on Friday, June 5th. The winner will be contacted via DM shortly after that to obtain size info, and the winner's name will be announced on our Monday, June 7th episode. Now, Patrick, you may be wondering, what about our patrons?
What about our patrons, Adam?
Thank you so much for asking. Well, the patrons are automatically entered to win in a separate patron-only giveaway and will also be announced on our June 7th episode.
I love this. I love everything about this.
It's 2 T's, one being given away to our Instagram followers and one being given away to our patrons.
I love this. And depending on who wins, I'll be reaching out for some very specific measurements and sizes. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. I feel like then, depending on who wins, they will be reaching out to the authorities to have you arrested.
Yeah, I recommend entering with a lawyer at your side.
You definitely want representation.
It's true. It's very true. Quarantine times, Adam. Everyone's desperate.
And that just goes in general for any of your dealings with Patrick. You will want representation.
Speaking of representation, Adam, we should note that this giveaway is not represented or affiliated by Disney or Instagram.
It's not. We said, hey, Disney, hey, Instagram, you want in on this sweet deal with GDTD? And they, very oddly, Patrick, turned us down.
Yeah, they said, GD, go away.
They need us. Let's face it. They need us.
They do need us. And then they said GTFO.
Do you know what I need, Patrick?
Tell me, Adam.
I need some good old-fashioned Disney news.
We have just the cure for you, Adam, because the news is up next.
We'll begin with a COVID-19 update as it relates to Disney. On Wednesday, May 27th, Walt Disney World Resort submitted its proposal to the Orange County Economic Recovery Task Force in Florida, describing its approach for a phased reopening of the resort's theme parks. The proposal, which was approved by the task force and is now pending approval by the federal government as of this recording, states that Magic Kingdom Park and Disney's Animal Kingdom are scheduled to begin a phased reopening to the general public on July 11th, followed by Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios on July 15th. Cast member previews and Affinity soft opening preview days for annual pass holders, DVC members, and Club 33 members will occur prior to the July 11th reopening date. More information on the preview days is forthcoming. As expected, park operating hours have been shortened, and there will be limits on attendance and controlled guest density that aligns with guidance on physical distancing. According to Disney Parks blog, experiences such as parades and nighttime spectaculars will return at a later date, and, quote, high-touch experiences such as makeover opportunities, playgrounds, and character meet and greets will remain temporarily unavailable, but characters will still be in the parks. As a result of limited capacity, all existing dining reservations and experience bookings, including Disney dining plans included in packages, have been suspended. The resort will reopen dining and experience bookings with more limited numbers closer to when the parks reopen, and will shift from a 180-day booking window to a 60-day booking window for dining and experience bookings going forward to allow guests to make their plans closer to their visits. FastPass Plus service will be suspended for the time being as additional queue space to manage capacity at attractions and maintain physical distancing is necessary. Existing FastPass Plus selections will automatically be canceled, and extra magic hours will be temporarily suspended. Attendance will be managed through a new theme park reservation system that will require all guests to obtain a reservation for park entry in advance. Theme park reservations will be limited due to attendance limitations and will be subject to availability. The resort is temporarily pausing new ticket sales and Disney Resort hotel reservations so customer relations can focus on guests with existing tickets and reservations. Disney Vacation Club members can still make new reservations. Existing ticket holders and annual pass holders will be able to make reservation requests in phases before new tickets are sold. Additionally, Disney Vacation Club resorts at Walt Disney World will reopen to members and guests, and Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground will begin to reopen on June 22nd. Disney Vacation Club resorts in Vero Beach, Florida, and Hilton Head, South Carolina, will also open to members and guests starting on June 15th. Plans to support required physical distancing as well as enhanced cleaning measures, along with a number of other safety and cleanliness protocols, will be implemented as part of this planned phased reopening. As part of its statement, Walt Disney World Resort reiterated that cast members, as well as guests 2 years of age and older, will be required to wear appropriate face coverings in theme parks and common areas of resort hotels. All guests will also undergo temperature screenings prior to entering a theme park. Cast members will also have temperature checks. Cashless transactions are recommended, and cleaning and disinfection procedures will be increased in high-traffic areas. For the latest information on Walt Disney World Resort's planned reopening, visit the new Know Before You Go hub at disneyworld.com/updates, where you can find updates on operations and offerings, including details on how to modify your plans. Okay, Patrick, here we go. Walt Disney World is planning to reopen.
They sure are. They sure are. How are you feeling about it?
I'll preface my feelings with the following statement, Patrick. Everyone's going to feel differently about this, right? It's okay to be excited about it. It's okay to be a bit apprehensive about it. I tend to fall into the latter. I'm a bit more apprehensive. I would not be someone who would be storming the gates trying to get into the theme parks in July.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And that is not because I'm not excited to experience the theme parks. I absolutely am. It's more that I don't want to experience the theme parks in this way, or I'm just not there yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How are you feeling about it?
I'm more or less in the same camp as you are. I think Disney, and I say this with a grain of salt, has to reopen because everything else is reopening in Florida, and they sort of financially can't play catch up too much longer. I know that they are, I believe, the last of the theme parks in Florida to be opening, which I think is a little bit reassuring. They're going to take their time. They have over a month now to prepare. So I feel like I would, above any other theme park right now, trust going to Disney than the other ones. Though, that being said, I personally am not ready to go. I do have reservations for November for Run Disney. They haven't disclosed yet whether or not that will still be happening. But regardless of if it does, I think based on these next few weeks, and especially once they open in July, I'll be paying close attention to see if I am still going to go in November. That decision is still in the air for me as of now.
So reasonable of you, Patrick.
I think we're in that time where we have to really take a fine-tooth comb into all of our plannings for the future.
Moving on to the Disney Store reopenings, select locations in the United States, Europe, and Japan will begin a phased reopening imminently with reduced store hours and capacities to help facilitate physical distancing. Disney stores will also be temporarily pausing opening ceremony and in-store events. Face coverings must be worn by guests ages 2 and up and by cast members while in the store. The store will provide hand sanitizers for guests and cast members, enhance cleaning procedures throughout the day, and deploy new training and health screening protocols for cast members. For more information on the phased reopenings of Disney stores and the safety protocols being put in place, visit shopdisney.com and click on the Know Before You Go banner at the top of the screen. So this is very exciting, Patrick, because for someone who may not want to bet on a Disney vacation, at least they can kind of get a bit of a Disney fix in a Disney store.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all hungry for at least a little bit of Disney magic, and going to a store certainly is a little bit more magic than just shopping from home on Shop Disney right now.
And even masked, Patrick, you can do some serious damage in a Disney store, can't you?
Oh, I'm going to tear up that store with my wallet and my credit card and my Disney mask in hand. Well, not in hand, on face.
And lastly, Disneyland Resort. We didn't forget about you. Some forward movement in that resort's opening. Governor Gavin Newsom announced in a press conference last week that some areas of California, including Orange County, where Disneyland Resort resides, are approved for accelerated reopening. This means the resort could begin a phased reopening in Stage 3 of California's reopening plan. That could occur sometime this month.
Interesting.
California seems to be doing very well, even in its more urban areas. They just seem to have really gotten ahead of the game as far as the virus was concerned. And while economically it's hurting them, as it is the entire country, it feels like they have very successfully laid out a plan that will see them through the rest of the year.
Absolutely. They sort of were ahead of the game in closing down the state at large. And they have been, from my perspective, the most conservative when it comes to having people stay at home and working from home and doing as much remotely as possible. So I think they feel pretty equipped to have this slow, phased reopening of their businesses.
From my perspective, I think I would feel more comfortable going to Disneyland at this point. And I'm not going to do it, but if I had to choose, I think I would feel more comfortable going to Disneyland, not only because it's a smaller park, but also because it's more of a locals park. And I just feel like the chances of me being exposed to anything would be lessened.
See, I feel a little bit the opposite because Disney World is so big and because their capacity at the start of all of this will be quite low, that there's more room to sort of spread out. And so I feel a little bit safer in that environment instead.
You have a very valid point, but I also just want to point out that you basically just said Disneyland is trash.
That is not what I said, but if that is what you heard, then that is what you heard, Adam.
Everyone, Patrick thinks Disneyland is trash.
Later this year, Star Wars fans will be able to handle their lightsabers in the privacy of their own home.
Some of us are ahead of the game on that one.
Hey-o.
Quarantine, am I right?
Am I right? So Lucasfilm's ILMX Lab and Oculus Studios are developing a new virtual reality experience, Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. This will be an at-home action-adventure experience, giving fans the opportunity to live out their own Star Wars adventure with new stories and characters from the outskirts of Batuu. The timeline of the stories in development will take place between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, and will serve as an extension to the storytelling from Galaxy's Edge in both Disney World and Disneyland. No official release date has been set, but as we learn more details, we will be sure to report that information but to you.
Oh, Patrick.
I mean, when you got it, you got it.
Do you got it?
I do. I've had it for a while.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Some upgrades and enhancements have been made to Walt Disney World Resort's My Disney Experience app in regards to mobile ordering and payment options. Mobile order arrival windows have been added, giving guests the ability to select a 30-minute window of time in which they would arrive at a quick service or dining location. Guests will then select the I'm Here button. The mobile order windows will allow food locations to better prepare for guest capacity and should limit crowding at food pickup counters. My Disney Experience's payment options have been expanded to allow Apple Pay in-app payments, as well as the ability to use a Disney gift card or a Disney Rewards redemption card for Disney Visa credit card holders for payment. Only one Disney gift card or Disney Rewards redemption card can be applied per order, but it can be used in combination with an accepted credit card or debit card and in conjunction with other offers. Sorry, annual pass holder and DVC members, your discounts still cannot be applied. But as John sings in the Carousel of Progress, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a dream away.
Aw, how sweet.
And he was actually singing about the in-app payment options. Very few people know that.
Makes total sense to me. Makes total sense to me.
Patrick, I think this is great. In particular, the payment options. I love the idea of being able to apply your Disney gift card directly to the app.
Oh, for sure. I love that Disney is sort of taking a page out of my personal life and going completely touchless. What?
That flies in the face of your earlier news story about handling your own saber.
You know, it's true. It's true. This past week, fans of the game Kingdom Hearts lost their collective mind when rumors of the long-anticipated Kingdom Hearts TV show were confirmed. Mostly. So Kingdom Hearts, for those who don't know, is an action-adventure role-playing game developed by Square Enix and Disney. Originally released in 2002 for PlayStation, Kingdom Hearts quickly evolved into a collectible card game and into printed media, and now has 13 games available for multiple platforms, with future titles currently being planned. For the past few years, fans of the game have been asking and begging for a movie or a TV series, and rumors have been circulating recently that a show was in the works and would likely find a home on Disney+. This past week, social media influencer Jeremy Conrad posted a tweet with the game's three main characters, Sora, Goofy, and Donald, along with the caption, "It's true." After that, editor-in-chief of Diz Insider, Skylar Schuler, responded to the tweet saying, "Been tagged in Jeremy's post, which is true, so here's what I know. Kingdom Hearts will be a Disney Plus series, not a movie. It's animated, CGI. Disney voiceover actors are expected to reprise their roles, Jim Cummings, Bill Farmer, Tony Anselmo. All I know." Emery Kaya, writer for The Cinema Spot, also weighed in on Twitter, saying that Square Enix, the game's developer, has created a pilot episode. From there, Twitter blew up with everyone offering an opinion and claiming they had more information surrounding the project. However, neither Disney nor Square Enix have made any public statements regarding the rumored show. In any case, at this point, if the show doesn't happen, it seems clear we only have the Heartless to blame, and I'm realizing now that only fans of Kingdom Hearts will understand that reference.
I got it, and I don't play the game.
Oh, fantastic.
Mostly because I am heartless.
This is very true. This is very true. Relatable.
Holy moly, Patrick. This is like conspiracy theory to the next level. All these social media folks commenting and saying they've got the inside scoop.
It's true. All of them are also claiming that there was going to be a public statement about this, but that they decided not to because Twitter sort of leaked the information ahead of time. So who can say if it's actually true? I hope it is. I think it'll be a fantastic watch if it is, in fact, produced.
I'd absolutely watch it. But here's my question, Patrick. Do you think we're social media influencers?
I do not, Adam. I do not. I've never considered us influencers of any kind other than maybe culinary.
In that we get people to eat fudge and popcorn and toffee?
That is exactly what I mean.
I want more for our lives.
We influence people to eat, drink, and go to bed. And I'm currently under the influence, so there we go.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Adam.
How many times have I said to you, Patrick, I would adore a life at sea?
At least once today, and that was just now.
But let's get real, Patrick. I know very little about life at sea, and I know very little about cruising, and I know even less about cruising aboard the Disney Cruise Line.
Fair enough. I was going to say, I know a lot about cruising, not on a ship.
Sure.
I know little about sea life, but I know quite a bit about seamen.
Oh, okay.
So I guess we're sort of in the same boat, as it were. No pun intended.
Pun absolutely intended.
Fair enough. Pun always intended.
Luckily for us,
Yes.
we were able to interview the delightful Jon Wailin, who is not only the host of the Sailin' Wailin podcast, but is a Mainstage performer for Disney Cruise Line.
He sure is. Not only that, Adam, but he's a longtime cast member with Disney in general. He got his start working at Disneyland Resort and also got to open as part of the original cast of performers in Shanghai Disneyland.
So not only a life at sea, but a life abroad and life as a podcast host. I should have reordered those because it got less dramatic.
It's true. You ended on kind of a bummer. Being a podcast host is just the worst, isn't it?
Who would want to do that?
Who would want to do that? But you know what? He does it, and he does it so well. We both are big fans of his podcast and of Jon in general.
Absolutely. We were so lucky to have him join us for this interview. Again, he's the host of the Sailin' Wailin podcast. Be sure to check that out. It gives wonderful insight into the life of being a performer aboard the Disney Cruise Line, and also just kind of great life advice in general, right?
For sure, though a lot of what they talk about is surrounding performing on a cruise ship, a lot of it can be applicable to sort of any industry.
So before we head on into our interview with Jon, we just want to let you know that you can follow Jon on Instagram via his personal account at Jon, that's JON.Marcel. And you can follow his podcast Instagram, the Sailin' Wailin podcast, at Sailin' Wailin podcast.
So without further ado, Adam, all aboard for our interview with Jon Wailin.
Jon Wailin, welcome to Gaze Do the D.
Thank you so very much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
We are thrilled to have you, and we just need to say up front two things, really, right, Patrick? First of all, it's impossible to avoid sailing puns during this interview.
Okay.
I just want to clarify that it's impossible to avoid sailing puns, and we love a pun here on the podcast. And the second thing that we need to be upfront about is that Patrick and I are complete idiots, just in general. But aside from that, we know very little about Disney Cruise Line. Neither of us have ever been on a Disney cruise.
Well, hopefully I can enlighten you a little bit with what the cruise line has to offer.
Absolutely. And we're really excited to hear all about your career with Disney Cruise Line, as well as your travels to Shanghai and your podcast. So let's dive right into it. But before we do that, we just need to ask, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. All things considered, I've been kind of all over the place geographically since this lockdown has begun, but I'm now hunkered down in Orlando, and I'm fortunately safe. I recently did get the COVID-19 test and got my results yesterday that I am negative, so that was a little bit of good news. Better safe than sorry. So I'm happy to say that I'm safe. My close friends and family are safe, so that's good on my end.
That's so great to hear. Another thing we like to do before we jump into a full interview here on the Gaze to the D is sort of get your Disney background, your Distory, we like to call it.
All right.
So tell us a little bit about your connection with Disney. Have you always been a fan? Are you a recent fan? What's going on there?
My Disney fandom started kind of late high school, and I would play hooky to go to Disneyland, like my junior year of high school, I'd say. And I had only been to the park a couple times. I'm from California, so Disneyland was my go-to park. And quickly fell in love with the theme park environment and Disney in particular. So quickly after high school, I got a job at Disneyland and started working attractions and worked Paradise Pier in California Adventure. I made things go in circles. And I got hooked. So I started quickly thereafter in entertainment at Disneyland, working in parades, and did basically every parade Disneyland and Disney California Adventure had to offer in the 4 years that I was there. And then left, stayed in the area. I'm a theater person, performer. So I was doing a lot of regional theater in the Los Angeles, Orange County area, and on and off had a relationship with Disney. There was a while where I was an annual pass holder, so I've worn both hats. And then I got the opportunity to go to Shanghai to be in the opening cast out there. So that was an incredible year and a half of my life. And then a door that I've been knocking on for a very long time, which is Disney Cruise Line, finally opened. And the better part of the last 2 years, I have been with DCL, sailing on 2 of the ships, and was in rehearsal for a third before all of this happened that kind of stopped our momentum as a planet, I guess.
That's an incredible kind of rundown of your career and where you've been. But let's go back to the very beginning. Did you know when you started at Disneyland Resort, did you feel an affection for the Walt Disney Company instantly? Did you feel like this is a company that you wanted to work for a long time?
Absolutely. I had fond memories of Disneyland. And although I wasn't the biggest, let's say, connoisseur of the Disney films as a kid, I did love the ones that I saw. And marrying that with the admiration I had for the theme park, I knew that it was something special that I wanted to do. And in particular, as I was nearing the end of high school, the Aladdin Musical Spectacular in California Adventure was running, and I thought it was just incredibly magical what this show brought to the stage 4 times a day. Like they brought Broadway style shows to a theme park, and I thought, I can do that. I want to do that. And so it was there early on, I'd say. And that, I mean, the bug is still with me. I still want to keep doing that Disney magic.
So we want to be respectful, of course, of Disney and the Disney magic. So some of these questions we'll try to dance around a little bit, and feel free to tell us, I just can't answer that for you. So in that vein, is there anything that you can share about what the audition process is like for a Disney production, or what makes it stand out from other audition processes?
I can absolutely talk on that. And I think anyone you ask who has auditioned for Disney, whether they booked it or they didn't book it, and trust me, I have not booked more than I can count, they can all say the same thing, that a Disney audition is the kindest, warmest, most welcoming audition process one can go to in this industry. Be it a cattle call or an appointment, a callback, the casting team and the creative team that are there to audition us performers are so welcoming, and they're so on our side. And if they could, they would hire all of us and then find a job on the back end of things. So there's no pressure when auditioning for Disney. The audition process itself, though, let's go with like a cattle call, because most people do go to those. You go in, you sign up, you get a number, and odds are you sit and you wait and you do nothing for 2 to 8 hours, depending on what number you get. If you're number 274, get comfortable, dive right into, I don't know, the first book of Game of Thrones, because you'll have time to read it. And then you go in and you do what you do for any audition. You sing your 16 bars. If they want to hear something else, you sing that. And more often than not, things may have changed in the last couple of years, but they'll let you know that day, typically in the room, if not a couple minutes after, if you're going to progress. So there's no like going home and waiting by the phone for weeks. You know in that moment if that's the end of the road or if you're moving on to the next phase, which is very respectful of the performers and their time, and something, again, you don't see typically in a traditional audition environment. And as far as like a parade audition, it's another open environment. You go, you dance, and they just slowly start whittling it down. And it's typically a long day, 8 to 10 hours, and you sit in the room at the end of the day. And again, it may have changed since I auditioned for parades back in the Jurassic period. But the casting team hands out index cards with a role and your name on it. And it's kind of like call your name, get your card, and it's how you're cast. So it's pretty streamlined. They know what they're doing. They do a lot of auditions, so they have it down to a pretty fine science.
And you mentioned that at Disneyland Resort, you worked at California Adventure, and then you had just mentioned the parades too. Did you fill any roles? Were you friends with any characters at Disneyland Resort?
I had a close relationship with many classic Disney characters, but I was also a dancing fork. I was also a dancing knife. I covered the cutlery game pretty well. Never moved into spoon territory, but forks and knives, I got that down. So yeah, there was definitely an opportunity, more so in the parades and like dancing roles, waving and lip syncing. It's my specialty.
I believe you said that you had just finished your second contract on the Disney Cruise Line and were getting ready to start your third. What is it about a Disney Cruise Line performing on one that sets it apart from other cruise lines, or have you performed on other cruise lines?
I have not. Disney Cruise Line is the first cruise company that I have worked for. I've auditioned for others. But with Disney, the thing that has attracted me is I am in the world of theater, I'm a character actor. So I don't fit the mold of your Prince Charmings and your leading men. I am more of like the funny sidekick. And on some of the other cruise lines, the shows that they offer, although fantastic, typically have like your 6'2", beautiful, stunning, veneered-toothed gentleman who can sing for days. And that is not me. I've never been that guy. I'm not going to be that guy, and I've embraced that. Disney Cruise Line has positions that run the gamut, A to Z, as far as types. So they clearly have the Prince Charming. They also have the Fairy Godmother. They also have like Timon and Pumbaa. Like they've got everybody. So if you've got a funny voice and a funny look, they probably have a job for you. So I found that very attractive. And with the fleet growing, and since I've started auditioning with Cruise Line, it's doubled in size, and now we're getting the fifth ship. Those opportunities keep advancing. So I was immediately attracted to that idea of getting to be myself in a show.
I can tell you, John, as a Prince Charming type, there's an incredible amount of pressure that comes with that.
I can imagine.
You don't want that, but my veneers are amazing. So... So in relation to your roles at Disneyland, were there multiple roles you were filling on a cruise line? For instance, you're performing in shows, but are you also then filling other roles when you're not performing?
Absolutely. So as with any cruise line or any position in the maritime industry, there are standard job duties that one must be trained for pretty intensely before even embarking on the ship for the first time. So as we were guest-facing crew members, we also had the responsibility of running an assembly station, as we call it, or a muster station, if you're familiar with that. And so we do what is referred to as a drill before the ship even embarks for the first voyage of a guest's cruise experience. And that just kind of runs down the safety protocols, what to expect in the unlikely event of an emergency. If you've been on a cruise, if you've watched any YouTube video about a cruise experience on any cruise line, you're familiar with this. It's you take an airplane ride across the country, put on your life jacket, help yourself before you help the little one, all of that type of stuff. That's us. We are part of the team that does that. We do assist a lot of the Disney friends. So when you are going to the atrium to have your pirate night photo taken with Pirate Goofy, you'll see somebody at the back of the line just making sure you have your autograph books open and ready to go. That's us. So we have those duties. We have classes throughout the weeks. We have trainings throughout the weeks. We're always doing something, even though we may not be on stage all the time.
Do guests ever recognize you then from the show? Are they like, oh, you're the guy I just saw in the show last night?
Yes, and they recognize us from other ships. I feel like in my last contract, I was recognized more from my previous contract than I was from the current one. And oftentimes they're correct with how they recognize us. More often than not, they recognize that we're in the show, but they place us in the wrong role because we do look different on stage. We're wearing makeup, where we have prosthetic appliances or facial hair, big costumes, so we do look a little bit different. I've been mistaken a lot for characters. I've done Frozen twice now on the cruise ship, and I've never been Olaf. And I get, you were Olaf, weren't you? All the time because I wear glasses, and Olaf in the show wears glasses. So clearly I was Olaf because we both wear glasses. But yes, we do definitely get recognized. It's kind of sweet.
But have you ever been mistaken for a spoon?
I have not, because I have a reputation, and they know that I have never and will never be a spoon.
Adam gets recognized as Elsa all the time, so we totally understand.
It's the veneers, I tell you.
For sure. So as we all know, with live performance, anything and everything can and has gone wrong at some point during a performance. And I imagine that could be doubly true for a cruise ship performance. Are there any crazy stories that you can share that you have in your back pocket?
Only because I was watching a video of this moments before we started recording this. The ships have welcome aboard shows, and they differ ship to ship, cruise line to cruise line. It's just acclimate the guests to the theater, to the cruise director, and what to expect entertainment wise for the length of their cruise. So on the Fantasy, which was the Disney ship I was most recently on, there's a opening show, and it's fun, it's playful, it's high energy, and it just sets the guests up for success on their cruise experience. But our opening number, as with any good theater mishap, our audio tracks completely cut out. And the show must go. This was the opening number, big opening number. All of the Disney friends are on stage with us. And as with any performer, you know that the show must go on. So without missing a beat, mics were still live. So the singing cast just went with it, full harmonies, did the whole song to the end, no music. The lifts went down, the curtain went down, and the cruise director came out and said, we're gonna keep you guys in your seats for a moment. We're gonna fix this issue. And we're all laughing, freaking out. Is the show going to go on? They couldn't fix the audio. It would not come back up. And there's still 45 more minutes of show to do. So we are scrambling, trying to put this all together. And this is a opening variety show. So we have an intermission, if you will. And in that intermission, some of the variety artists that are on the ship, that cruise, come out and kind of do a sample presentation. And we had Donna Vivino that week, who, if anyone's familiar, original young Cosette in Les Miserables on Broadway. She was just recently Grisabella in the Cats National Tour. So she's backstage watching us panic, freaking out, laughing with us. They send her out and they just make her sing Defying Gravity to distract the audience from the fact that we don't have a show that can work. She brought a CD, so CDs saved the day. But our high-tech technology just couldn't catch up with our show. We tried, I believe, 3 times to pick the show back up, and the audio just kept not wanting to participate. So we decided to just bring all of our Disney friends, the entire cast, and the cruise director out on stage, and we just stood there for about 2 minutes waving awkwardly while the cruise director, full transparency, said, we can't fix this problem, but we promise the rest of the cruise is going to go a lot better than this. So in the meantime, take pictures, because you're never going to see all of these characters together again. So if you look on YouTube, I'm sure you can find it, because I just found a video of it, and it's hysterical. And I love the fact that we were completely honest that there was a mistake and there was no fixing it. Enjoy your cruise.
Let me ask you about the shows themselves. As I mentioned, Patrick and I have not been aboard a cruise, and they're truncated shows, right? They're not as long as a typical Broadway show. And also, you have essentially guest stars coming in for certain contracts and certain cruises. Is that right?
Yeah, so the shows are truncated in the sense that think a theme park show. So they're about an hour plus or minus as far as the book shows are concerned. The Disney Cruise Line Mainstage company does offer what we call a Broadway guest artist contract. And every cast has a rotating set of Broadway guest artists, or BGAs, who have Broadway credits or Broadway adjacent credits, so national tours, West End, or say I sing backup for, I don't know, Britney Spears. That's credit worthy. And they come in and they fill certain tracks. Those tracks do not change. And by tracks, I mean the roles that they play throughout the different shows. So there's a very specific type that can be given the BGA contract. And so those do come in. They often do presentations throughout the cruise for the guests as like a little bonus entertainment offering. So they talk about their credits. They show little video samplings. Say they were on Broadway. They show a clip of them singing something from their Broadway show. But then the rest of the cruise, they just blend in with the rest of us. They do the shows just like us. Their weekly duties are a little less responsible than us. They don't have to do the crew drills or the guest drills. They don't have to hang out with Mickey and Minnie, making sure people have their autograph books open, but they're just in the shows like the rest of us, and it's fantastic working with them. It helps us feel a little more motivated to go to the next step, and the guests do like it as well, having those not open houses, but the presentations that the BGA artists do offer.
On your podcast, some of your guests actually, and you yourself have commented that you specifically are sort of meant to be on a cruise ship as a performer. You're built for it. Can you unpack that a little bit? What are you bringing to the table? What can a performer bring to the table to make them well equipped for performing specifically on a cruise ship?
A very strong equilibrium is very important because you don't stop moving. Even in port, the ship's moving. Technical side, I mean, that you can have some of the strongest performers you've ever met step foot on a ship, and after the first cruise go, I can't do this anymore, and want to throw in the towel because it is a different environment. I mean, I'm currently sitting in my closet recording this podcast, and this is more or less the size of my living space on a ship. So you have to be able to live in small confined quarters, live with, work with, play with the same people for 6, 7, 8 months on the ship. That doesn't include rehearsals prior to that ship contract. And flexibility, I mean, I can't touch my toes, but like mental flexibility to go with the punches, because like I was just saying about the showstop moments, that could instantly result in a meeting with the cruise director going, because we just offered this to the guests, tomorrow we're doing an emergency production of blank the musical to make up for it. So you just have to be able to go with the flow and kind of think of a solution before there's a problem. And that's not in everybody's wheelhouse. And so that kind of mentality is very important when, at least to me, when being on a ship.
I do emergency productions of Frozen in my basement every day, so I totally relate to that. I think I'm well equipped for a cruise ship then.
I can't wait to see those leaked videos.
Yeah, but Patrick, your sense of equilibrium is trash, even on land.
It's the worst. I am currently falling over a little bit as we talk.
Jon, you mentioned, the size of your living space on the ship. I want to kind of dive into, I want to kind of dive into your life on the ship. Communication with family and friends. What's that like while you're at sea? Are you able to kind of stay in constant contact with people?
Typically, the answer would be no, unless you wanted to fork over money for a Wi-Fi package, which a lot of people do. And my first contract I did, and I spent more money on internet than I ever should have. And I regret to say that it was you're welcome, internet service provider on Disney Cruise Line, for my contributions. But during my last contract, fleet-wide across all 4 Disney ships, they launched an incentive, because I believe it is present to some degree on other cruise lines, where text-based communication was free of charge. So you just had to like resubscribe every couple of months. But for the majority of my last contract, iMessage, WhatsApp, WeChat, if anybody had it, Facebook Messenger, kind of, but any text-based messaging service, with the exclusion of like sending photos and like audio messages, was included as part of the crew member incentive to work for Disney Cruise Line. And that was for all crew member, from captain to quartermaster to galley steward. Like everybody in between had this privilege. And it was a game changer, because so many of the the crew outside of the entertainment department are, I guess, for lack of a better term, tenured on these ships and have been with Disney Cruise Line since Disney Cruise Line started and work just to send money back home to their families in Indonesia or India or all of the 60 plus countries that are represented on the cruise line. And so to have them also be able to finally talk to their families at any hour of the day was a huge turning point for the crew members on board.
And then in addition to that, we don't need to get into specifics, but let's say you're in a relationship, you're not in a relationship. Are you allowed to be in a relationship with other cast members? Or if you are in a relationship and your partner is on shore, does that make things extremely difficult?
Yes, you can be in a relationship. Yes, you can be in a relationship with anybody, as far as I know. If I wanted to start dating the captain, that was allowed. My business is my business. I've had somebody tell me, your business is your business. I myself am in a relationship with somebody that I work with on the cruise line. And so to the second part of that question, I can't personally talk to having a long distance relationship while at sea, but I know many people who are in those relationships, or one is on one ship, one is on the other ship. So their port days don't line up. So they can't meet up on land. So they rely heavily on that free texting, or those are the situations where you make the decision to afford to buy Wi-Fi. You prioritize internet so that you can video chat or send pictures from a place you had lunch in Puerto Rico or something to show off to your loved one. So that does play a big part when you want to keep the intimacy, but not that intimacy of a relationship going. Keep it present, keep it alive.
Well, now your business is also our business, so thank you for sharing that.
And the world's business. You're welcome.
So part of being on a cruise, of course, is seeing some really beautiful destinations that you may not get to see otherwise. As a performer, however, how much of those places do you actually get to see when you're in port?
Surprisingly, a good amount, because the shows typically are designed to rotate with a dinner schedule, and dinner happens when you're on the ship. We don't have a lot going on during the day when there's not dinner to be working opposite of. So unless there's a class, a training, or a special event going on, we typically have mornings, afternoons free so we can go to port. So I don't think there's been a port of call that we've gone to where I haven't been able to get off the ship for even just an hour or so to grab a coffee and say, hey, I've touched land in South America. Check. But some individuals, unfortunately, don't have that privilege. And there is a maritime rule called in-port manning, which a lot of crew members on ships, they fall into a role where they have to honor in-port manning. And it's a rotating system where, I don't know the number, but let's say it's 20% of crew members must be on the vessel at all times, in port, at sea. Hopefully there's more than 20% when the ship's at sea. But in the event, again, of that unlikely emergency, there's a core group of people on the ship. And it rotates so that it's fair that people can get off the ship. But with Disney Cruise Line, for the time being, my role does not fall under the IPM. So we are free to get off of the ship more often than not.
Stepping back a little bit, Jon, we have to talk about the once-in-a-lifetime experience you had. You were part of the opening cast for Shanghai Disney Resort. Can you please tell us a little bit about that incredible experience?
I mean, I could do a whole other podcast just on opening a theme park, especially a theme park in China. It was a bucket list item I never knew was in my bucket list until I came home from the experience and went, wow, I think I wanted to do that my whole life, but I didn't realize I've always wanted to open a theme park, especially one overseas. It was that phone call I got saying, hey, this is Shanghai Disney. You auditioned for us a few months ago. Do you want to come work for us? It had been so long since I auditioned, I didn't even remember auditioning. So I couldn't process what he was saying because there was no context. I was completely clueless and blindsided by the offer. Putting it into words is difficult because there's so much that goes into opening a theme park, and I can't talk to the 5 years of construction that led up to the opening. I was there 4.5 months before the park opened, and it was slow and steady. And I feel like the last 2 weeks before we started our trial ops in May, when we first had guests come into the park to kind of test the waters, those last 2 weeks, it was guns ablazing, go, 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 go. Walls would show up overnight that didn't exist the day before. I swear, attractions showed up that weren't there a week prior. It was incredible how fast things moved in those last few moments before the park opened.
So when you're very close to the park opening, then you mentioned ops. Are there people coming to watch your performances to kind of quality check them and make sure that everything is running smoothly?
It's not just the performances, it's the whole park. So Shanghai Disneyland opened on June 16th, but trial operations started a month prior in May. And this was an opportunity for all the cast members to extend invitations to family and friends, strangers on the street. If they seemed nice enough, we had physical tickets we would issue out. And it was limited. So much like how we're all anticipating the parks to reopen in the coming months globally, the guest count was very limited early on. So day one, week one was 5,000 people, 10,000 people tops. And then the next week that number upped and up. So the cast members in stores and restaurants and janitorial, they could all get real-time, real-life experience what the day-to-day is going to be like. And it also provided the entertainment offerings, chances to practice with people. A parade is one thing, but a parade with an audience is a completely different thing. So it's a nice month-long dress rehearsal, if you will, for the cast members at the park.
In your time working and performing there in Shanghai Disneyland, how much of the language were you able to learn and to speak and to grasp onto, or were you mostly focused around the vocabulary that you memorized for the shows?
Mostly focused on the vocabulary I memorized for the shows, which was a surprise. We didn't know until we got there that it was going to be a Mandarin-speaking park. Hong Kong Disneyland has offerings in English, Cantonese, and Mandarin. So not knowing what Shanghai was offering, everything was very hush-hush even after we got the offers. We assumed it would mirror that idea. But once we got there, we realized no, 98% of all spoken words in the park would be in Mandarin. So I was in the Eye of the Storm, the Captain Jack Stunt Spectacular, and that entire show is performed in Mandarin. So a big portion of those 4 months leading up to the park opening was language classes with various dialect coaches and individuals who worked at the park, individuals the park brought in to help train us, not only learn the words, learn the inflections, but make sure that we could perform them with intention without modifying the meaning behind what we're saying. Because in English, a word's a word. So I can say Starbucks. I can say Starbucks. I can say Starbucks. It's always going to be a delicious cup of coffee. But if I take a word in Mandarin and I play around with the inflection, I say 3-4 different words. So acting beats became a completely new... I had to approach it completely different than I've ever approached acting before. I remember in rehearsal getting so frustrated to our directing team, who were all Western they were from the States, just bleeding for them. I'm like, can I please just do a monologue in English so you know that I can actually act? I feel like I've never done this before in my life. I'm so frustrated because it was all of the tools that I had as an actor kind of just faded away to nothing because I was learning how to walk again while trying to run in a stunt show. So it was a difficult process, but yes, language was at the front of that. Outside of the park, I definitely struggled. I didn't have somebody training me 8 hours a day how to say, can I please order the double cheeseburger with bacon and a side of onion rings? So it was a lot of pointing at pictures. Taxi vocabulary, I kind of got down. Basic restaurant jargon, I kind of got down. But other than that, I was relying on my cell phone and translation apps heavily.
It's phenomenal to hear all of, just your experience there. It just sounds really intense, but also just really thrilling.
Absolutely. It was the time of my life. I was at the end of my 20s while I was there. So it was a good time to kind of sit back and re-examine who I am and what I want to be when I grow up. And isolating myself in a place like Shanghai to do that with the group of people I worked with, and for that company was incredible. And I wouldn't have changed it for anything.
Well, part of what you've become now that you're grown up is a podcast host.
Yes.
You have your own podcast called the Sailin Wailin Podcast. What was the genesis for this podcast?
It kind of goes back to when I got my first offer for Disney Cruise Line. So I know I'm not alone in this. I got an offer for something new and exciting. So I just jumped online and I wanted to see as much as I could find out about living and working on a ship. Now, I am no stranger to people who have had jobs working for cruise ships, specifically Disney cruise ships. So I could always just talk to them, but I wanted to see with my own two eyes and hear firsthand experiences what it's like. And although there's countless videos and things on YouTube about cruise experiences, most of them had nothing to do with entertainment, with performers. Occasionally it would be like a guest artist, like, hi, I play guitar and these 3 cruise lines hire me out every now and then, but nothing about an in-house cruise ship performer. So the idea of doing like a YouTube channel about this is how ship life works for a performer kind of started getting those wheels turning in my head. But on a ship with, again, no internet service and nothing really attractive to be seen in a crew member's room, and specifically with Disney, like no cameras allowed anywhere backstage or behind the scenes, I just saw that being a very vanilla video series. So I was like, well, if I can't have video, but I can have voice, next best thing was a podcast. And I was completely new to podcasts, even as a listener. So I started listening to a lot of podcasts that featured friends of mine. Specifically, I was listening to Broadway musical theater podcasts and just taking note what I liked, what I didn't like, what I think I want to highlight, and just kind of started creating a recipe for what I hoped would be a successful podcast venture, and then what eventually became the Sailin Wailin podcast.
It's a wonderful podcast. Something I really love about it is what you're able to capture with your fellow actors of their work ethic and how much drive and passion they're putting into their jobs. A lot of people don't necessarily view performing as a job or as a career, but you absolutely shed light on the hard work that really goes into it. So well done there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was a big point I wanted to make, was that it is work. And although there's passion in it, it is still work. And there is a stigma, unfortunately, in the entertainment industry itself that performing on a cruise ship is less than work. Like, you look on land, you look at equity versus non-equity, your brain immediately thinks non-equity performers are less than equity. And that's not the case. Just like cruise ship performers aren't less than land performers. We're all the same. A job is a job, and if you're doing it with integrity and you're kicking butt at it, then there is nothing to laugh at. There's nothing to turn your nose to. It is great. And to anyone who's listened to or is going to listen to any episodes that I have out so far, you'll hear that the shows that Disney Cruise Line in particular are doing are so cutting edge. The technology, the production value, the performances are so unbelievable. And again, is going back to like the Broadway guest artist contract, we have performers in the shows who have been on Broadway, some in 1 show, some in 6 shows. So you're getting Broadway performers doing these shows that are Broadway caliber, and many of which say that the shows that are happening on the ships are bigger and more challenging than the shows that they did on Broadway or on the West End.
It surprises me that there's a stigma behind cruise ship performing, especially when, and many people may not realize this, but it's so difficult as a performer to find a steady gig. And that is one that is steady and allows you to still explore your creativity and hone your professional skills.
Absolutely. And see the world and meet incredible people and make connections with nationalities from countries I'd never heard of. And a ship does become one big family. There's one stretch on the ship. All ships have this. Most of them are referred to as the I-95. And it's the giant hallway that goes from the front to the back of the ship. And it's like the backstage corridor. So you pass people there constantly, and you eventually start passing the same people, and you start recognizing these people. And when so-and-so goes on vacation for 2 months, you notice when they're gone, and you're excited when they come back. And these are individuals who are in different departments from different countries who live in other places on the ship. It really does become this beautiful revolving door of ship family. And then you all reconvene at the crew bar that night, and you catch up and see how their vacation was. And then you get back to work.
As Patrick said, we're both big fans of your podcast, and it just gives great insight into being a performer for Disney Cruise Line. And it kind of transcends just the work of it too. You know, there's some real advice that's given out that can apply to any industry, life advice too. So you've just done a really wonderful job in kind of creating this podcast that can speak to everyone regardless of their interests.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a kind of an accidental byproduct. A lot of the responses I was getting from listeners as I was starting were that of like a healing experience. And they were retired performers, or they have people in their life who are performers but they themselves have never pursued the stage on land, at sea, anywhere, and have just felt like motivated to do better, to think differently, to pursue their passion with full integrity and just kind of change their life for the better, even if it's just a little bit. It's been a nice, beautiful thing that I've been able to hear back regarding the show.
Well, speaking of advice, what is something that you wish you had known or had been more prepared for before you started performing on the cruise ship, or performing in Shanghai, or even starting your podcast?
Ships, I joke, but I'm also serious. Stairs. There are a lot of stairs on ships, and stairs. So if you're looking to work on a ship as a performer, as a galley steward, as an officer, stairs. Practice walking up and down stairs. There are a lot of stairs. They're slippery, they're steep, and they're everywhere. We can't use the guest elevators, so we get to use stairs a lot. Stairs. But also, again, it's that flexible mentality. For cruise ships in particular, you're doing 3 to 4 main stage big shows. You're also doing enhancements, which kind of defines like ship-wide entertainment. So smaller offerings here and there, deck shows, dance parties, holiday offerings. I was a part of the Star Wars Day at Sea cruises that happened for a couple months. So there's a lot of Star Wars enhancements that come out for those 2 months. So those are rehearsed well in advance, and then you put in a manila folder and you almost forget about it for 6 months. And then right before the end of your contract, you have to pull out that folder and remember everything that they taught you, because it's Star Wars Day at Sea. It's very important stuff. As far as kind of just summing up the Disney thing, and it goes to say for anyone auditioning, if you've been doing it your whole life or if you're new to it, I cannot say this enough. Be yourself. Be yourself. I have tried to appease casting teams and failed. I have completely given up trying to make them happy and have just gone in and done my thing as I want to do it and booked the work. And every success story you hear is the latter. Somebody just doing them and giving it their honest approach to a role or a reading or a song. And that's all we can ask for, because more important than doing a 1-hour show on a cruise ship is there are 23 other hours in the day that you have to be an employee and a coworker and a friend and a peer. And those 23 other hours are just as important as that 1 hour. So if you're not a good person to work with or be around, or you're not fun, or you're not able to ping pong ideas, then you're not going to be a contributing member to that show, be it on a ship, be it in a theme park, be it on Broadway. Just be yourself and be open to change and have fun.
See, that is just a sample of like the fabulous kind of messaging you'll get on Jon's podcast. It's have fun, be yourself, and stairs. Stairs are crucial. You need to master stairs.
stairs. No one warned me about the stairs. There are so many stairs. The theater is surrounded by stairs backstage that before and after showtime are roped off to other crew because we're running up and down the stairs, changing clothes, singing off stage. There's a lot of stairs. So brace yourself. Even in Shanghai, I had so many stairs. I had to go up stairs to go to my places holding area because I entered from the back of the house. So I went up the stairs and then I waited and then had to walk downstairs in the house, then walk upstairs onto the stage. I counted in the year or so that we were open and ran, I did something like 26,000 individual stairs just in performing, not including walking the park and on my off time, supporting somebody else doing the show. Just in the show, 26,000 stairs.
Stairs.
If you ever write a book, I think you have a title. Stairs.
Well, Jon, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to have you stick around for some Quick D in just a second. But one last question before we head into Quick D. And that is scurvy?
No, I have a lot of citrus in my cabin. You're allowed one piece of sealed fruit per person, per cabin, per day. So we ward off the scurvy. It also is good for keeping pirates at bay, unless it's pirate night, and we welcome them in.
Just the hard-hitting questions here on Gaze Do the D.
Stairs and scurvy.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Jon.
Hey, Patrick.
Welcome back, Jon. It's been 30 whole seconds since we last heard from you.
I'm exhausted. It's been so long.
It's been so long. We've missed you. It is time again, of course, everybody, for some Quick D.
I'm very excited.
As you should be, Adam. As you should be.
I'm cheering inside.
Jon, this is your very first experience with Quick D, at least on Gaze Do the D. So let's explain what we're doing here. Adam and I are going to ask some questions that you, at least, have not been privy to prior to our recording, and we're all going to answer them sort of off the cuff, improvisation style.
Perfect. I cannot wait.
This week's category for Quick D is going to be Marry, Kill, Disney Plus, and Chill. I think we all know what Disney Plus and Chill means now, yes?
Yes.
Excellent. So we thought we'd mix it up a little bit and get specific with you, Jon. We're going to ask you some Marry, Kill, Disney Plus, and Chill at sea categories.
Ooh, okay.
You sound hesitant, but ready.
Well, I'm already picturing rough seas, big waves, so I'm excited.
You're in the right lane then. You're in the right lane.
Yes,
Adam, Adam, do you want to kick us off?
I do. So I have picked characters from the same movie. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to start with a Disney live action. Jon, who are you going to marry? Who are you going to kill? And who are you going to Disney Plus and Chill with? Ned Land or Kirk Douglas? Captain Nemo or James Mason? Or the giant squid from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
I'm definitely Disney Plus and chilling Kirk Douglas.
Yeah, you are.
Marry Nemo, kill the dragon, or sea creature. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The monster. That one's got to go.
Could be delicious and, dinner.
I know. I mean, HelloFresh isn't cutting it, so might as well have a sea creature.
It's just logical.
Yeah.
Patrick, how are you going to tackle that list?
I feel like Jon has the correct answer here, and maybe it speaks to his experience at sea, but those are all absolutely the correct answers.
I like it. You're in agreement.
Yeah, Adam, what about you? I feel like there's some dissent with you.
I'm going to take things in a bit of a different direction. I'm definitely going to Disney Plus and Chill with Ned Land or Kirk Douglas. How could I not? I'm going to kill Captain Nemo, and I'm going to marry the squid. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to marry the squid because think of all the tasks that could be accomplished, in one go, like grabbing things, doing the laundry. There's so many arms and tentacles there.
I mean, smart. We're both looking at the efficiency of the squid, but from two different perspectives.
You're right.
And I always look at things from a food perspective, so squid's got to go.
Yeah.
In your stomach.
Also, we need that ink, just in case we need to write some letters.
Pen pals are very important during quarantine.
Absolutely.
All right, Patrick, where are you taking us?
I'm taking us to 3 different movies, fellas. Are you going to marry, kill, Disney Plus and chill with Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid, Maui from Moana, and David from Lilo and Stitch? Now, David, for those who don't remember, was sort of the love interest of Lilo's sister.
John.
Adam. I absolutely, like, no questions, marry Prince Eric. Prince. End of story. Disney Plus and chill, Maui, tattoos, long hair, Hook. End of story. Kill. Is it Jason? I have to ask because I don't remember him. And if I don't remember you, I'm sorry, you're dead to me. So, kind of like Stitch is everything I took from that movie. Like, it's just the other aliens. I mean, I know Lilo, but like Stitch is everything. So
fair.
Sorry, Jason.
David. It's David, by the way.
David, and I'm sorry, and I'm really, now to all the Jasons listening, I'm really sorry. It's a squid and it's David. I'm doing so well.
Again, not to be contrarian, but I am going to take a different path.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to marry David from Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
He seems like a provider. He's also very hot. So, I mean, it's win-win. I'm going to kill Maui because I need to be the one who's full of himself in the relationship. I don't need that to be my partner. And I'm going to Disney Plus and chill the third one, which was Prince Eric.
There you go. There you go.
Not Jason.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to Disney Plus and chill Prince Eric and marry David and kill Maui. What about you, Patrick?
I'm close. I'm going to flip him yet again. I'm going to Disney Plus and chill with David from Lilo and Stitch. I mean, he's a surfer. He looks amazing. I'm into it. I'm here for him. Enough said. I'm going to get rid of Maui. I think he's a little bit too messy, and I don't need that right now. I think the world is already chaotic enough. Don't need it, Maui. Get out of here. And I'm going to marry Prince Eric because I'm all about that cash.
And Jules.
And jewels and a ship. I mean, I need it. I need it.
The dog. You need more dogs.
I need the dog. It's true.
All right. Last one. I'm going to take us into the Finding Nemo, Finding Dory universe.
Okay. This is going to get messy. Okay.
Marry, kill, Disney Plus and chill, Marlin, the dad, Crush, the turtle, and Bruce, the shark.
Everyone's thinking it. I'm sorry, I have to kill Marlin. He's a clownfish who's not funny. Like, you gotta go. I'm sorry. And I love Finding Nemo. It's my number one movie, but sorry, Marlin. I think I would marry Crush. 150 years and still young, like the stability there.
Yeah.
His Roth IRA has got to be inflated. And again, going to food, Bruce, he's a big guy. He could feed a large family of me living alone in quarantine. So I would, I've already killed Marlin.
You're very trigger happy with Finding Nemo cast.
I know. It's just, yeah, I would Disney Plus and chill with Bruce. Marlin gone, marry, Crush, Plus and chill, Bruce. I think for a one, yeah, I stand by that.
You're so conflicted. I love it.
I know the struggle's very real in this fictional environment. Yeah, Australian. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. For everyone listening right now, you can't see this obviously, but John actually has a whiteboard behind him, and he's going through all the scenarios and putting X's and zeros where he thinks things align, and it's really mathematical and amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been good at math or science until this moment.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, gentlemen.
It's a beautiful mind situation happening right now. I like it. I think for me, I am going to also kill Marlin. I think he's not good in a panic, and I don't need that around. I think I'm going to Disney Plus and chill with Crush. He's been around for so long. He's seen some things. He's got some tips and tricks up his sleeve. I'm going to Disney Plus and chill with him. And I'm going to marry Bruce for the protection, mostly. I'm a little guy. I'm not a great swimmer. I need some protection.
And Patrick, I absolutely agree with your choices. And I think it's really telling that all three of us have killed Marlin.
Sorry about it, Marlin.
He's had a good life. Thanks for Nemo.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That will do it for this episode of Gaze Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gazedothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gaze Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast, and submit your questions or show ideas to info@gazedothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.